Good afternoon and welcome to, well, you know where we are, Bishop Middleham Quarry once again. Always a great way to, I won't say end the season because it's not over yet, but for an end of season highlight, doesn't get any better than Bishop Middleham Quarry during the peak Dark Red Helleborine season. So should be good, expecting quite a bit by way of fragrant orchids, common spotted orchids, and as I say, Dark Red Helleborine. Anything else is a bonus. So let's crack on before the rains get here. Now you get chalk fragrance and marsh fragrance here, and I have got many of them confused before, and I'll do it again today. The fact this is only just opening would suggest it's a marsh fragrant orchid rather than a chalk fragrant, but I am about 50% confident on that one. I'm really no good with fragrance. Nice common spotted. I'm hoping we'll have a good common spotted day this time. The last time we were here they were pretty poor, and then the previous time they were absolutely superb. That's a good start. That's a nice one too. Blimey, there's an early dark red helleborine down there. Don't usually get them this early. Very nice. When I say early, I don't mean early in the season, I just mean early in the site. They're usually a bit further on than near the entrance like this one is. Very nice. Another one about 3 foot apart from the previous one. I think we're going to see quite a few of these today. I read something recently saying that there'd been a count of dark red helleborines at this site and there was over 2,000, which must be getting on for the sum total of dark red helleborines at every other site in the country added together. This is very much the spiritual home of this very, very nice helleborine. Definitely marsh fragrant. The colour's right for marsh fragrant. It's a more reddy pink than you get with the chalk fragrance. Only just opening, which also ticks the box for marsh fragrance. They run a bit later than the others. There's certainly going to be a lot of these. We don't usually get too many, or last time I came here there wasn't too many at this part of the reserve, but there are some big ones fully out and there's plenty of them. Lovely pair of dark red helleborine. Lovely marked common spotted orchid. A nice twosome here. Dark red helleborine. And a marsh fragrant orchid. Absolute madness. Dark red helleborines everywhere. It's amazing. You could place, I'm not suggesting digging these up, but you could place a couple of these in any site anywhere in the country and it would be headline news. But here, dare I say it, they grow like weeds. There really are huge numbers, and they're all looking good at the moment. They're all at their peak. That's an impressive sight in the distance. I've got to go and scramble over there. Fragrant orchids for sure. Ah dear. I mean, the sort of lateral sepals on most of those flowers are pointing downwards, and they're also rolled as opposed to laying out flat, which would make it a chalk fragrant orchid. and it's fully open, which might also make it a chalk fragrant orchid, compared with, bear with me, compared with those that are only opening very recently. I don't know if you can see, but the horizontal sepals on them are flat. So these are Marsh Fragrant on their way out. I think most of the others, if not all the others, are chalk fragrant. There you are, stick my neck out. That one, I mean, colour wise it could be either, but those horizontal sepals sticking out sideways are flat. They've been ironed flat on these, and they're pretty much horizontal as opposed to dipping down, although you could argue some of them are dipping down. That would imply that one is a Marsh Fragrant orchid. I've got to have a 50% chance, haven't I, on any of them. Marsh Fragrant orchid. Flat horizontal sepals pointing straight out. I'll go for that. I saw one of these on social media this morning. I think it's a 6-spot burnet moth, although it's a strange colour. That's what they usually are, sitting on a Marsh Fragrant orchid. That one is easy, simply because of the density of the flower head. Densiflora, Marsh Fragrant orchid. The eyes have it, common spotted orchid. Very, very few spots on that common spotted orchid. Minimalist. Just wanted to back up something I was saying on social media the other day about how the leaves and the spots on the leaves reflect the spots on the flowers. There's hardly any spots at all on that common spotted flower. If you drop down the stem, you can see there's next to none. In fact, I can't see a single spot on those leaves. Quite enjoying these common spotteds. They're back to their best here, well marked. There's not many drab ones. They're all sort of showing up in one way or another. That one's certainly strongly marked, strong lobes on it as well. Nice group of Marsh Fragrants on the hillside. I can't clamber up any higher, but perfectly placed. Very nicely coloured at the top, fades fast lower down to next to nothing. Right, got to climb Dark Red Helleborine steps. First time I came here this time of year, I climbed these steps having not found a single Dark Red Helleborine. I got to the top, to the plateau that was up there, and boy oh boy, they were everywhere. Of course, having said that, there'll be none this year, but there usually is. I know I shouldn't have said anything. There's none up here now. I'm sure there's some. There were loads up here the first time I came. They seem to have moved elsewhere. There's a few dotted around, but not so many. A lovely dark dusky red colour. Pretty much unique in the Helleborine world. You don't, as far as I'm aware, get any variants to Dark Red Helleborines. You don't get any white ones, you don't get any different tones or shades, although one or two have been putting up efforts that they think might be slight variations, so I'm on the lookout in case anything shows up that's unusual. At the moment they're all the same, but they're all very nice. I was rather hoping I'd found a Northern Marsh orchid there, but it's actually a Venusta hybrid. I don't know if you can see the spots down the bottom there. So that's a Northern Marsh cross common spotted hybrid. It's quite a warm, relatively humid late afternoon, and the scent, there's about 5 or 6 fragrant orchids around here. The scent is tremendous, it really is. And I'm still not brave enough to call whether it's a Marsh fragrant or a chalk fragrant, but I'm going to say it's a Marsh fragrant orchid. It is a typical fragrant orchid dilemma for me. The horizontal sepals, the wings that shoot out horizontally on this, the theory is if they slope downwards it's a chalk fragrant orchid, and if they're horizontally held out it's a Marsh fragrant orchid. If they're rolled up like sausages it's a chalk fragrant orchid, and if they're flat as though someone's ironed them it's a Marsh fragrant orchid. But the problem is on this plant you've got mixtures of both. You know, you've got sepals pointing downwards, sepals pointing straight out. Some of them look slightly rolled, most of them don't. It's a Marsh fragrant orchid because it's still opening and because most of the sepals are flat. So I'm reasonably confident, but you can never be 100%. I think the density of the flowers is probably, the density of the flower head is probably the most reliable thing to go by, and also the timing. If they're still opening like this one, it's not going to be a chalk fragrant orchid. They'll still be around, but they'll be fading, whereas Marsh fragrance can still be on their way out. Best I can do. Just for the site collection, pretty bog standard pyramidal orchid. Nice little group of common spotteds with this rapid fading, lovely sort of purple blush at the top. Very quickly it's fading to almost off-white at the bottom. It's nice. That's a lovely common spotted orchid. Very nice indeed. Common spotted orchid. I love this cliff edge spot at the top of the quarry. I often sit here when I come, and all I ever remember about sitting up here is moaning about how the top half of the quarry, which we've pretty much completed now, isn't up to much. This time it is. I've quite enjoyed that stroll around the top part of the quarry. Common spotties are probably the star of the show. I mean, I know the Dark Red Helleborines are the rarities, but the common spotties are on good form, and they haven't been the last couple of times that I've been, so quite enjoyed that. So we're going to go down to the bottom, not jumping off the edge. We're going to do the long route down to the bottom, and I have to say, sticking my neck out, but I'm going to do it. The bottom is always better than the top. The Dark Red Helleborines are usually massive down there, real specimens, and fragrant orchids are usually in greater number down there, so if it gets better than what we've just seen, it should be good. So we're going to crack on and get down to the bottom, as it's spitting with rain now, and see what the bottom half of Bishop Middleham Quarry has to offer. Nice to have one I can be confident about. Nice Marsh fragrant orchid. No doubt about that one. Colour's right, sepals are right, density of the flower head is right, colour's right, blah blah blah. Marsh fragrant orchid, and it smells divine. A nice pink pyramidal orchid. I don't mind those. That's another cracker of a common spotted. I don't know if you can see this in the distance. Those are the mighty, mighty big dark red helleborines, and are always there. Real monsters. We'll head over there in a minute. Everything tends to be bigger down the bottom here. There's a monster of a marsh fragrant orchid. About 2 foot tall in total, probably a bit more. Nice set of marsh fragrant orchids. 100% definite on these. Okay, here we go. Just over 3 foot tall. A real monster. How good is that? It's just huge. Really is huge. Common spotted and a sort of upside down inverted dark red helleborine to its right. Another big one. Superb flower head. Massive. A nice group of dark red helleborine. That is nice. It's a pink marsh fragrant orchid. It's the only one I've seen really so far of this colour. That's an unusual set of colours in that one. Pale, I think we'll just call it. Marsh fragrant orchid. Seems to have lost its peak. It should be a bit more tall and slim, but it is a marsh fragrant orchid. Good numbers of fragrant orchids, marsh fragrant orchids all around. Good to see. Been trying to get one of these 6-spot burnet moths on a dark red helleborine. Beat that one. A little cluster of gone over common tway blades. An even bigger group of gone over common tway blades. Just for the record. That one is just about hanging on. Nice little common spotted. That's probably the best common spotted orchid I've seen of many very good ones today, so I'll give that one top prize. Really nice, beautiful markings. Cute. Another of these lovely fragile pink marsh fragrant orchids. Could do with finding a big one of these if we're lucky. Someone was listening. That is absolutely gorgeous. Really, really nice. A pale pink Marsh fragrant orchid. Well, that one's just taken over the mantle of best common spotted of the day. I'd better add so far on the end of it. That is an absolute gem. Lovely eyes on those common spotted flowers. Nice grouping of Dark Red Helleborine, Marsh Fragrants, common spotteds. A lovely dwarf 5 to 6 inch tall Dark Red Helleborine. Size isn't everything. Not as pale as the other gem of a Marsh Fragrant, but still a nice pink form. There's not many of these. A nice common spotted in the pouring rain. Do I care? Not at all. It's a nice pyramidal orchid. And that is an even nicer pyramidal orchid. Don't know what colour I'd call that. Very pale pink. It's nice. Another very nice pink Marsh Fragrant orchid. Okay, so I'm getting addicted to these pink Marsh Fragrants. I'll keep bumping into them. Lovely, lovely orchids. There's another one nearby, so brace yourself. Absolute clonker. And not quite out yet, but more to come. Such a cute couple. Right, nearly 4 hours done here. I think I'll call it a day down before I get much wetter. I don't really care about the rain, it's been absolutely superb. It really has been. Getting here at the right time each year is very difficult. And I don't think there is a perfect time, because what might be perfect for, let's say, Dark Red Helleborines may not be perfect for fragrant orchids, which may not be perfect for common spotted. So I think we've landed pretty well. I think by luck, by chance, call it what you will, we've landed pretty much as close as you can to the sort of epicenter for all of them. I mean, the Dark Red Helleborines, there easily are 2,000 of them here. I'd say there's probably more. But I know they've counted them, so we'll go with that. They've been superb. Whether they're 6 inches tall or 3 foot tall, they've been superb. Absolutely wonderful orchids. Fragrant orchids, I think with hindsight, every single fragrant orchid today has been a Marsh fragrant orchid. I don't think there's any chalk fragrance amongst them. I know early on I was looking at a few and thinking maybe I think they're all Marsh fragrant orchids. I think I'm happier to go with that than to try and cherry pick which ones are chalk and which ones are Marsh. I think they're all Marsh. I think every single one of them is, and they've been brilliant. There's been loads of them, particularly down the bottom here, and those pink ones, absolute spot on. I mean, my orchid of the day is that pale pink Marsh Fragrant, and all of the pink Marsh Fragrants have been superb. I loved every single one of those, as you can probably gather from my addiction on the way around, but they've been superb. And the common spotted, you know, they perform well, and they don't always perform well here, but there's a lot of good patterning going on. Not many of them are beyond sort of, you know, flower heads of about 5 or 6 inches tall. I've seen real monsters here before, and there's none of those, but it doesn't matter. You know, the common spotted have been really good as well. So I didn't see any Northern Marsh, saw one Venusta hybrid. I looked hard for a fragrant orchid hybrid. That would be great. I kept checking the leaves in case there were spots, but there wasn't. I'd love to find one of those. I'm sure there's one lurking somewhere, but I've never seen one on social media, so maybe not. But absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me and keeping me company, and I hope you'll do similar next Friday at 6 o'clock.